All right, I'm here with Leslie Polizzotto, co-founder with Troy Neal of the Doughnut Project. The Doughnut Project is located in the West Village here in New York City. They are a super very hip, trendy, gourmet donut shop that utilizes their creativity in everything they do, from the flavor of their donut to the interior design of the shop. Today I got to ask one of the co-founders of this great establishment about their origins and how creativity played a giant role getting this Doughnut Project off the ground. Just the artistry in here is awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said to you, I walk in and I feel like I'm invited.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a place to sit and just talk and create and be creative.
Yeah.
So give a shout out. Who's the artists here?
Well, the two main artists that I want to definitely recognize is B&S Watt, who did the mural behind you and also does the prints that are in front right here. And we actually sell those. Because I had bought his prints when I was like, these would be perfect for the shop. And then the other is the Johnny Cash stencil. It's a friend of mine, Derek Barnes, who's a local artist here. And I worked with him on a commission for a development in New Jersey, and
cool.
He did that. He gave us that for free, so I took when we opened our shop. So
did you like Johnny Cash?
Yes.
So you like Johnny Cash?
Yeah. Well, he was like, "What stencil do you want?" And Troy and I were like, "Okay, we want somebody cool. We don't want anybody controversial." And so we were like, I was like, "Hey man, what about Johnny Cash?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it was so funny when he delivered the painting. Johnny Cash was playing in this shop.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, that's a sign to itself that it's the right thing. So you have like Johnny Cash, you have Star Wars going, you have graffiti, you have art. Like you have a mixed medium of things happening in the shop.
Yes. The vibe we were going through was Paris Art Salon meets urban street art. That's why we have chandeliers and marble and smoked glass and gilded frames, because art used to be shown in Paris in salons, and they would be, paintings stacked up against the wall, like really basically on top of each other.
Yeah.
And the more important artist you were, the lower you were down on eye view. So if you were way up, you weren't an important artist. So that was the kind of the combination of aesthetic we were going for.
And why did you want to go for that particular aesthetic? Did you want to show this is a place to create? Did you want to just show that it's sort of free for all and there's chaos out of order? What was it you wanting to show?
Well, interestingly, when Troy and I were writing our business plan, we had a completely different concept. Troy wanted it to be, and it started with the logo. The logo was very clean, and he wanted it to almost be like an Apple store when you came in. And that's the kind of concept we were going. It was going to be sleek and white and really, like futuristic. And we were meeting with our architect, and he was like, you know what? Everybody's got white. Everybody's got the, Apple's Apple. Why would you want to look like Apple?
Right.
And he was like, what do you think about graffiti? And I was like, wow, because my undergrad is in art history, and I'm like, I'm totally about art, and I was like, that makes perfect sense.
How did it even come about that you said, let's do a donut shop, right? Because where did that even come from?
Well, I was actually living in California at the time, and I was practicing law, and my husband, his major client, he's in real estate development, his major client was here in New York, and I have always been in love with New York, and anytime I could kind of scooch along on the trip, I would do it. My firm had an office here, so I would be like, oh, I'm going to work in the New York office, Friday, Saturday, or whatever. And we would go to Italy, and we like to sit at the bar at Monzo. My husband and I, when we eat, we like to sit at the bar because you can talk to each other better.
Right.
And Troy, my future business partner, was the bartender behind the bar at Italy. Great guy, charismatic, instantly fell in love with him, super cool. And he we would come back and see him on our trips to New York. And he told me one of the times, he said, I want to open a donut shop. And I said, oh my God, I love donuts. And I pulled out my phone and showed him pictures of donuts. And mind you, they were ones with sprinkles on them. And he was like, oh, I don't want to do sprinkles. And I'm like, that's cool. I love donuts. I love any kind of donut. And so he goes, well, I said, if you're serious about this donut shop, I'm moving to New York soon, and I'd like to maybe get involved. And I think he thought I was just going to like be an investor and throw money at it. But once I moved to New York, I was going to stay with my firm, but then the office had a slow down, and they were like, we don't have any work for you right now. So I took the bar, passed it, thinking I was going to, you have to take the bar in New York.
Yeah.
It's not reciprocal. And I was kind of waiting for my results. I found out I passed, and I was like, the whole time I was waiting for my results, my husband was like, do whatever you want to do. You don't have to do law. You weren't very happy with it at the end of your journey in California, so why not take this time to figure out what you want to do? So I was like, well, I love art, I love food, I'm so obsessed with food. I mean, my entertainment is going out to eat.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
yeah.
my life. When I'm not here, that's what I'm doing.
That's how I found my wife. We both like to eat. We're like, you like to eat, I like to eat, let's get married.
Yeah, really, it's perfect. So I was like, okay, you know what? I might get involved in that donut shop thing with Troy.
That's so fun.
So Troy actually switched jobs, and I lost contact with him, and I somehow reconnected with him. It was all like, all these things kind of happened that brought us together. And he was making me like test donuts. He had been making donuts out of his apartment, you know, for years, perfecting the recipe. And I ate the donuts. I'm like, oh my God, I love these. And I was like, you know what? I want to do the donut shop with you. So we wrote a business plan. We spent many long hours writing a business plan. And then the hard part was raising capital.
Yeah.
Neither one of us are chefs. Neither one of us have owned our own business. What the heck do we know about opening a shop in Manhattan, the largest failure rate for any business there is?
Yep.
Fortunately, after, about a year and a half, we had the amount of money we needed to start spending, and we found this beautiful space and started renovations and opened October 15th, 2015.
Did you get resistance from other people saying, like, why would you do that? You're gonna fail. Like, what was the feedback you were hearing from people?
Well, we kind of thought we had a different niche because our flavors are inspired by food and cocktails, and so they're much more sophisticated than Captain Crunch or Sprinkles, and it is completely different. We did get some pushback when we were asking, meeting with people who had money, with investors, oh, the donut scene is already there. How are you going to make it? But we had people who believed in our concept, and I believed in the concept. It's why I decided to do it, which was Troy. I mean, Troy gave up his job as a bartender, making lots of money, and I gave up my job to do this.
Right.
I mean, we both really took a huge leap. You can only do that when you have people who are supportive.
Correct. Correct.
I have to say, if it wasn't for my husband, I'd probably still be a lawyer right now, because how else would I have done it? You have to really sever ties and start, and it's full time. You can't just dabble in owning a business.
Figuring out, well, how do I get a business in New York, and how do I find investors? That's part you're finding.
Yeah.
Those are finding solutions, because you said you didn't know how to do that when you started, right?
Well, it's kind of, I always say, if it wasn't for Troy, there wouldn't be a donut shop.
Right.
And then we also say, if it wasn't for me, there wouldn't be a donut shop.
Correct.
You need to, when you're starting a business, you need to partner with someone who has skills that you do not have. Mm-hmm. I bring structure and kind of planning to the business, and Troy is much more kind of creative, and he's kind of the dreamer, and I'm kind of the voice of reason, and so together we work really well together.
You hear this a lot, like surround yourself with people with skills you don't have. Like in all the business books and all the self-help books, that's what it says. And as I was wanting to grow this blog and my business, I kept surrounding myself with people who are like me, because it's comfortable, right? It's comfortable to be like, oh, you're like me, let's work together.
Right.
But the second I started bringing in people who I was like, you do not think like me, we exploded. Here's the team right there, right? These people have a set of skills that I do not have whatsoever. Going from law to the donut shop, we talked about the business plan, but for you, was it scary to take the leap, or because you had the support, was it always an easy thing?
I was very scared, because I've always worked for somebody else. You go in your office, you know what you have to do, you sit down, you read, you write, you do whatever you need to do. And being an entrepreneur and owning your own business is completely the opposite. You have to figure out what needs to be done, and you have to do everything. And fortunately, my husband's owned his own business for a very long time, and he was like, why don't you try to have your own business? And I'm like, oh no, I'm used to, going into an office and knowing everything that I have to do that day. And he encouraged me to just kind of take the leap.
Right.
And so it was very scary for me.
Right.
But I would never go back now.
Right. Let's say there is somebody who is scared to take that leap, to whatever it is, whether it's leave their job, get a new job, ask for a promotion, or just to get more creative and get their voice out, or their art. This is your guys' art. Even if the structure's not there, how does someone lean through that? I am so scared, because you have the support.
Yes.
What if you don't have that internal support with the person that's closest to you? How do you move through that space?
I think you take it a little at a time. I was fortunate enough that I was like, okay, I no longer need to draw the salary of an attorney, and I can open this shop. That's the easy way. If you don't have that support, then you're going to have to try to do it on top of what you already do, and just dabble and learn as much as you can about this field or idea that you have, and connect with people who are in that field. You're just going to have to do it slowly. You can't be like, oh, I'm quitting my job today and now I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. So it has to be very thought out, planned, you have to have a plan.
You want to take enough risk that you don't put yourself at complete jeopardy, but take enough risk that you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to move forward.
Right.
Just give yourself enough so that until you're comfortable to go full, to do it all the way.
I mean, you have to be a little bit naive and do take some form of a leap, because we probably were crazy to do what we did here.
Yeah.
But it just so happens that it actually, we have a good product.
Yep.
Our shop is an experience. We're not like any other donut shop. You come in there, you see the beautiful art. We normally have music playing, cool movies. When you walk in, you're immediately greeted.
It's not about a donut, it's about an experience.
Correct.
With a remarkable donut behind it, right?
Exactly. And the foundation is the donut. We have to have a good donut.
Right.
You could have all of this, and if you have crappy donuts, it's not going to work. We're twice as happy.
So to be creative, you got to take that leap.
Yeah,
You have to take that leap one way or another, but with the risk to reward ratio in place. Well,
and you have to be willing to work hard. It's not easy.
Right. How'd you get your exposure? How do people know about you?
Well, we have not spent one penny on marketing or advertising. All of our exposure has come through social media, specifically Instagram. And when we first started, we had 700 followers, and we have, I think we're right at 42 right now, 42,000.
Wow. How do you come up with a beet donut?
The beet donut was inspired by a beet salad. My partner Troy and his wife were at a restaurant, and he was eating a beet salad, and he had bread in one hand, and he said, "This would make a great donut."
So funny. When you have an idea for a donut, do you write it down? Do you share a list? What do you do?
We do a lot of testing when we have a new flavor. Sometimes they come together very quickly, like our espresso milk chocolate, and then sometimes we spend weeks and weeks and weeks testing, like our carrot pistachio, which was a pain, but we finally got it right. So it just depends. You do a lot of testing, and then once you have the recipe down, we document that recipe.
What's your favorite donut?
My favorite donut is the everything donut. It's the cream cheese glaze with the everything bagel toppings. I adore it.
That sounds so good. Which donut did you think was the scariest to put out in the world?
Well, back in April, we did a donut series called Meat Week, and every day at lunchtime, we had a donut that had some form of meat on it.
And what was the craziest meat you've ever put on a donut?
We edited our peanut butter and jelly, and the peanut butter had foie gras in it.
Which donut is most scary for people to try, that they're like, oh, I dare you to eat that donut?
On our normal list, it's the beet ricotta.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, I hate beets, and I'm like, well, try this donut, you'll love beets. And it's funny because little kids will come in and little girls, and they'll be like, I want that one, it's pink. And I'm like, it's beet ricotta. And the mom would be like, you won't like it, you won't like it. And the little girl will be like, I want it, I want it. And then she'll get it and she'll eat it. And I'm like, you're welcome, your daughter.
Do you ever worry about what other donut shops are doing?
I don't worry about what they're doing. I do look at their Instagram feeds, and interesting enough, I've had a couple of ideas for donuts, and then I would see someone else do it. And my partner Troy and I always joke when people come in that they're spies. We're like, spy. So we don't talk about.
So you have molds.
There's
donut molds.
We don't talk about any. People are like, oh, what's your next donut? We're like, I'm not telling you.
If you had a microphone that reached the entire world for 15 seconds, you could speak to everyone in the world for 15 seconds, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to come to the Doughnut Project on 10 Morton Street in Manhattan and buy some donuts.
What do you think people should eat with? What do you think people should have with a donut?
Beautiful Brooklyn Roasting Company coffee, our Doughnut Project special blend.
Oh wow, they made one just for you?
Yeah, we're special.
That's cool.
Can't come to our shop in the West Village? You can have us delivered straight to your door. We are on Uber Eats, Caviar, Postmates, DoorDash, Sweetest. Share this video with a lawyer.
Share this video with a friend who says they're not creative.
Share this video with a bartender.
Share this video with somebody who constantly has excuses.
Share this video with someone who is thinking about starting their own business.